wind outside howled like a chorus of lost souls, rattling the windows of the Steak and Shake restaurant. Rain pelted the glass, creating a distorted view of the world outside. I stood behind the counter, the faint hum of the restaurant's neon sign casting eerie shadows across the checkerboard floor. My name is Sam, and I had been working at this prestigious restaurant for the last 5 years. Tonight, however, was different. Tonight, the world inside Steak and Shake felt like it was unraveling. It all started with the thunderstorm. The evening had begun like any other. Customers came and went, savoring the mouth-watering burgers and sipping on creamy milkshakes that had made this place famous. But as the rain pounded harder against the windows and the lightning lit up the dark sky, a sense of unease settled over the restaurant. I glanced at the clock. It was well past midnight, and the storm showed no signs of abating. Most of the staff had gone home early, leaving only me and Mr. Cooper, the elderly night manager, to tend to the empty booths and half-lit dining area. "Sam, why don't you take a break?" Mr. Cooper said, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. "I can handle things here for a while." I hesitated, the dying sense of dread growing stronger. But the prospect of a few moments of respite was too tempting to resist. "All right, Mr. Cooper, but just for a bit. Call me if you need anything." I retreated to the employee break room, a small, dimly lit space at the back of the restaurant. The room was a stark contrast to the lively atmosphere of the main dining area. I sank into a worn-out couch, the springs creaking beneath me. The room was decorated with faded posters of happy customers and employees from years gone by, a testament to the restaurant's storied history. As I closed my eyes, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The storm outside seemed to have an unsettling effect on the restaurant. I tried to dismiss it as a mere product of my imagination, but the sensation of being watched persisted. Moments turned into minutes, and before I knew it, I had dozed off. My dreams were fragmented, filled with flashes of the restaurant and the storm outside. But then, a chilling voice echoed in my dream, whispering words I couldn't quite comprehend. "Sam," it hissed, "you can't escape." I jolted awake, heart pounding in my chest. It was just a dream, I reassured myself, but the unease lingered. I checked my watch and realized I had been asleep for nearly an hour. Guilt gnawed at me, and I rushed back to the front of the restaurant. The moment I stepped out of the break room, a shiver ran down my spine. The ambiance had changed. The neon lights overhead flickered, casting eerie, elongated shadows across the room. The air felt heavier, more oppressive. I scanned the restaurant, my eyes widening in disbelief. Tables and chairs were upturned, and the floor was smeared with ketchup and milkshake remnants. It was as if a whirlwind had torn through the place. Panic began to claw at the edges of my mind. "Mr. Cooper," I called out, my voice trembling. There was no response. I cautiously moved toward the counter, where the cash register lay open, its contents missing. I knew something was terribly wrong. As I reached for my phone to dial the police, the lights flickered again, plunging the restaurant into darkness. My heart raced as I fumbled for my phone's flashlight feature. The feeble beam illuminated the chaos around me. That's when I saw it, a silhouette in the corner of the room. It was hunched over, its movements slow and deliberate. I held my breath, my pulse pounding in my ears as I inched closer. "Who's there?" I demanded, trying to sound braver than I felt. The figure turned slowly to face me, and my blood ran cold. It was Mr. Cooper, his eyes wide and vacant, his lips curled into a grotesque smile. He was clutching something in his hand, something shiny and sharp. "Mr. Cooper, what? What are you doing?" I stammered, backing away. He didn't respond, but his gaze locked onto mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. In a sudden, swift motion, he lunged toward me, the glinting object in his hand flashing through the darkness. I stumbled backward, narrowly avoiding the attack. My heart pounded as I rushed toward the exit, my phone's flashlight guiding my way. The storm outside raged on, the thunder and lightning providing a surreal backdrop to the nightmare unfolding within Steaks and Shake. I burst through the restaurant's front door, rain soaking me to the bone. My hands trembled as I dialed 911, recounting the terrifying encounter with Mr. Cooper. The dispatcher assured me that help was on the way, but the minutes that followed felt like an eternity. As I stood in the pouring rain, I couldn't shake the feeling that something malevolent had taken hold of the restaurant. It was as if the storm had unleashed a dark force, turning the once familiar place into a nightmarish realm. The sound of sirens in the distance brought a glimmer of hope. Police cars and an ambulance pulled up to the restaurant, their flashing lights casting an eerie glow on the scene. Officers rushed inside, and I watched with bated breath as they emerged, escorting Mr. Cooper in handcuffs. He wore a vacant expression, his eyes devoid of the madness I had seen earlier. It was as if he had no recollection of the violence he had unleashed. The paramedics tended to him, their voices hushed as they assessed his condition. One of the officers approached me, his expression grim. "You're lucky you got out of there," he said. "We found a knife in his hand. He could have seriously hurt you." I nodded, still in shock. "I don't understand. Mr. Cooper is the last person I'd expect to do something like this." The officer exchanged a glance with his colleague. "We'll need to investigate further. It's possible he had some sort of breakdown." As they led Mr. Cooper away, I watched him through the rain-streaked window of the police car. He seemed like a different person now, a shell of the man I had known for years. The restaurant, too, looked different in the aftermath of the chaos, a place forever tainted by the events of that night. In the days that followed, the story of what happened at Steak and Shake spread throughout the town. It became a macabre tale of a trusted night manager, driven to madness by a thunderstorm. The restaurant was temporarily closed for repairs and cleaning, but the darkness that had taken hold of it seemed impossible to scrub away. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped something far more sinister that night. The dreams, the voice in my head, the eerie changes in ambiance, all of it haunted me. I visited Mr. Cooper in the hospital, but he was unresponsive, lost in a world of his own. Months passed, and Steak Shake reopened its doors. The checkered floor was as clean as ever. The neon lights buzzed with life, and the aroma of sizzling burgers once again filled the air. But for me, the restaurant had lost its charm. The memories of that fateful night lingered like a shadow, a constant reminder of the darkness that could lurk beneath the surface of even the most prestigious places. I continued to work there, unable to let go of the past, unable to escape the feeling that Steak and Shake held secrets that I might never fully understand. And on stormy nights, when the wind howled and the rain beat against the windows, I couldn't help but wonder if the darkness that had consumed Mr. Cooper that night still dwelled within those familiar walls, waiting for its next victim.